Oh! I just knocked over one of my things. Well, that's gonna have to stay there then. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Just JP. I'm Justin and so happy to have you here. Today I am continuing my journey into Yes, one of the top progressive rock bands. On JPMP, the other channel with my friend Manny that I host, we have been exploring Yes, and we listened to And You and I and South Side of the Sky. South Side of the Sky I really liked, actually. It was my, at that time, second favorite progressive rock song that I had heard so far. That was the song that really caught my attention regarding Yes. So this is, I believe, 2 years before that album came out. I'm looking at their discography right now. I'm sorry if the clicking is really loud on the keyboard, by the way. This was their second album that they had came out with, Time and a Word, and I'm going to be doing the title track from that album. Yes, for me, is kind of like a midway point between Genesis and maybe King Crimson a little bit. They're much more composition focused, just like Genesis is, whereas a band like Pink Floyd is much more feeling focused and emotionally focused. But I think that's one of the reasons why I've enjoyed Yes as I've been listening to them a little bit more here and there, is because they kind of remind me of Genesis. Just a little, I don't know. I actually don't know the word. There's something about them I feel like they're, I don't want to say more organic in their playing, whereas Genesis is a little bit more structured and focused. Yes seems to be a little more experimental maybe in some of their sounds that they choose. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I've only heard 2 songs from them. So today we're going to listen to Time and a Word. This was from their second album. It is the closer of the album. Please let me know what you think of the song. Continue to recommend me songs. Join me on JPMP. If you enjoy the video, share it, like it, subscribe if you want to see more. And let's get into it. This is Time and a Word from Yes.
You open up your eyes, see what I see. Do you see the same things every day? Do you think of a way to start the day? Getting things in proportion, spread the news and help the world go round. Have you heard of a town that will help us get it together again? Have you heard of the word that will stop us going wrong? Well, the time is near, the word you hear when you get things in perspective. Spread the news and help the world go round. There's a time and the time is now and it's right for me. It's right for me and the time is now. There's a word and the word is love. It's right for me. It's right for me and the word is love. Have you heard of a time that will help us get it together again? Have you heard of the word that will stop us going wrong? Well, the time is near, the word you hear when you get things in perspective. Spread the news and help the world go round. There's a time, and the time is now, and it's right for me. It's right for me, and the time is now. There's a word, and the word is love.
I thought that this was interesting in regards. Oh, are you
Braxton was diagnosed with Chloe
every
plexus.
single time? I think this is interesting in regards to what I've heard before from Yes. So even though this album was before Fragile and oh my God, what was the other album? Fragile and Close to the Edge. This album was, or this song was a lot more straightforward and just succinct in its delivery. It's like like a regular song. Now, this was the closer, and I'm looking at the time durations and the time lengths for the other songs, and they are also pretty low. I mean, it's average probably around 5-minute songs the whole way through. So this seems to have been before Yes really got into like a progressive style of music and rock. I'm assuming. With this song specifically, I like the vocal. I actually really like his vocals. The this whole song, and tell me if you guys agree or disagree with this, because I don't know quite. I'm not quite sure. This song sounds like a slightly more soul-based Beatles. Like especially the last part with the harmonies and the strings slowly coming in, and the way that it's played with the bass and the drum. It just sounds very like soulful, like literal soul music of from that time, like the harmonies of like the Commodores and oh my gosh, the harmonies of the Commodores. Not so much Earth, Wind and Fire, but groups of that time in the way that built up. I don't know what it is about it, but I mean I don't know, and I can't think of the song, but when I hear it, that's what I get. There's something very old school soul about the way that they built that. And I like that because whether or not they were directly going for that kind of style, it sounds good the way that they pulled it off. I like the guitar tone and the bass. This may be because of the remaster. The bass is playing very simply, as really everything in the song was. You can hear that the bass and the drum is really driving the song, and his vocals and the guitar are kind of layering on top of it, just kind of floating and drifting with that underwork. It's interesting because I've heard 3 Yes songs, okay? And You and I, South Side of the Sky, and now Time in a Word. So far in my 3, my rankings are easily South Side of the Sky. Like, I actually really like that song now that I've gone back and revisited it also on my off time, even though I liked it the first time I heard it anyway. But that song's just great. And You and I, at first, I wasn't too into it, but same thing, it warmed up to me now. This song, I actually don't like it as much. It's a little too simple for me, regardless of it being Yes or any band. It's just a little too simple. And I actually enjoy Yes when they're playing a more progressive style from what I've heard. Now, I know they have longer songs like Roundabout, I believe was one of them. I chose this one because I typed in Yes songs just to explore a little more because I didn't have time to do like their longer ones today. I will definitely be working towards them, whether it's here or on JPMP. But I just wanted a taste to see a little bit of history from them, where exactly they've come from. And I've mentioned this here and on JPMP before in other videos, but when bands change their styles. So it seems to me that here, and I'm making an assumption based off of one song. I could be totally wrong in comparison to the rest of this album, Time and a Word. But this is a lot more straightforward from Yes than what I'm used to hearing. And I have to say, I enjoy Yes in a more progressive sense than when they're simplified. And this may just not be the right song for a simplified song from Yes. I'm sure they have others. But I don't know. It may be kind of like how with Genesis, a lot of people, of course, love their progressive side. And I believe was it after Steve Hackett left or the lead singer? And when Phil Collins started taking over the vocals, a lot of people had mentioned that they went to a more like poppier and accessible style. And that some people did not like that. They enjoyed their progressive rock from beforehand. So is this kind of the same case? I mean, you Yes fans, let me know, because I'm actually curious. It seems that they started simple and got more progressive as they went, where it seems that with Genesis they were very progressive and then they got more poppy and shorter and concise as they went. My information is maybe inaccurate. I haven't like looked any of this up for the most part. I'm just kind of speaking as what my limited observations are showing me. And people were mentioning also that with Yes, their lyrics are more focused not so much on the message, but just what sounds good. And here, the lyrics I can kind of see that because the lyrics aren't very like deep necessarily. It's a very simple message. There's a time and the time is now, and it's right for me. It's right for me, the time is now. There's a word and the word is love, and it's right for me. It's right for me, and the word is love. And you can see the way that they built upon that in the harmonies, especially in the end when they're repeating that same lyric and line over and over. But like I said, here's the thing of this kind of song. I wouldn't actively listen to it, right? I'm not going to look up time in a word, especially when I've heard South Side of the Sky. I mean, I like that song a lot. But it's one of those songs that's still pleasant to listen to. And as the conclusion of the album, it works very well. I can't say that 100% because I don't know what came before, but just like I've mentioned on Venice Queen, and the other song, I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head right now. Was it Natural Science? Was it Rush with Natural Science? As I mentioned on those, it does feel like a conclusion of a song, especially the way it fades out in the atmosphere. It feels like a celebration and a reflection at the same time. I know I've mentioned that before, but the sound, it just sounds like that. I don't know what it is. Interesting, and I'm reading this off of Wikipedia, that it says the song Time in a Word saw the band searching for an anthem type song. Okay, that makes sense. Anderson, who was still musically naive, presented its basic theme to the group on a guitar, using only 2 or 3 chords, leaving the other band members to try and discern what he was playing. Again, Banks didn't agree and claimed it was not meant to be part of the final mix, having been intended only as a guide track. On the final version, Banks played his parts over Foster's. So it's interesting that it says that they were searching for an anthem type song because it does come across that way, and maybe that's part of the powerful, soulful kind of vocals and build-up that it has. I think here's the thing. Even though I said I would not listen to this song, I do think they made it work, and I do think it sounds good. There's no denying that. It's just, I feel it's a little simple and not as interesting as what I've heard from them before, and that's kind of the reason I'm not really interested in listening to the song off camera. And I'm always going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to tell you after this if I'm going to actually listen to it after I leave here. And this song, I wouldn't. South Side of the Sky? Yes. And You and I? Sure. But time in a word, there's not really a time in a word for this one. Anyways, I seriously hope you guys have enjoyed your time watching the video. I seriously thank you for taking the time in the first place to watch, for commenting, because you guys always leave really good information down there. Stuff for me to read about as I'm learning about the history of the bands. Because I like to come in at an approach where I don't really know much about the band. I like to just have really no idea of who they are. Have a blind listen. Can't have a deaf listen because I can't have a blind listen either. And then just come up with my own assumptions. And then afterwards get the actual information. I know this is kind of almost a trial and error kind of way of getting it, but I don't know. It's more enjoyable for me if I don't know anything beforehand. So, of course, thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it. It's okay, dislike it if you don't. Subscribe if you want to see more. Please comment down below. And join me on Twitter too. And see you later.